So we just heard from Chrystia Freeland and the Liberal government about their new plan for the next year. This is the federal budget 2023, where they outline some of their top priorities, some new benefits that people can apply for, some new programs, as well as where the government's planning on investing their, or rather our money going forward. This is going to be a one-taker video, so I'm going to refer to my notes here that I was taking as I watched through the entire budget speech. But if you want to catch that budget speech, you can watch the replay of the live video that was filmed earlier this afternoon. Okay, let's dive into things right away. So she started off by talking about the positives of the Canadian economy. Jobs bounced back after COVID. They were really happy with this. They said our early learning and childcare program, which was part of the 2021 budget 2 years ago, has been successful. It has worked. She says that the labor force participation rate has hit a record high among women of 85.4%. And she says that that is due to the early learning and childcare that was announced in previous budgets. So saying this is a good thing for Canada. A higher labor force participation rate definitely is, but some people might wonder if this is due to the lower childcare costs or due to a higher cost of living, forcing people to actually go to work more and not being able to make the choice between family and work. Now, she then shifts topics and says, okay, here's what our macroeconomic situation is looking like. She says that Putin has driven up inflation and the central banks had to respond by raising interest rates. And today, inflation is going down in Canada. She says as a result of the central banks being so aggressive with these interest rates, that's why we're seeing inflation going down. And she also points out that average hourly rates are positive in terms of real rates for the first time. Now, wages have been growing in Canada for a while, but they haven't been growing in real terms. That means when you take inflation into account, there hasn't been any wage growth for a number of years now. But now, for the first time, our wage growth is sitting around just above 5%, and inflation is sitting just a little bit below that. So for the first time in terms of real dollars, taking into account inflation, that wages are going up for Canadians. So she says, hey, that means Canadians have more money in their pockets, and sort of pats herself on the back for sort of bringing that up. And also, she then shifts topics into talking about how vulnerable Canadians still need help. She talks about some supports and benefits that may need to go to certain vulnerable Canadians, which we're going to get into in a little bit more detail in the coming days here. The first one that she mentions is the grocery rebate, something that we predicted on the channel just yesterday. This grocery rebate, she says, will help to offset higher prices without fueling inflation. This is her claim. And also, she says that the budget today will allow Canada to keep our low debt to GDP, our low federal, like a countrywide debt, the debt that the government goes into, trying to keep that ratio between that and what Canada can actually earn on a yearly basis in line. She said that this budget is still going to do that. Also says that it's important for them to make sure that wealthy Canadians and corporations are paying their fair share so we can invest in healthcare and our social safety net. Going to be interesting to go in there because there have been talks about some tax increases that we might be expecting. Again, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because I'm going to be bringing you the information that's within the budget in the days to come, if there are actually these proposed tax increases that she mentions here. She also says that we're reducing government spending without cutting Canadian services. There's been some leaks ahead of the budget saying, okay, maybe they're doing a study of their consulting costs, the sort of outsourcing to firms like McKinsey that has largely grown over the Trudeau administration, saying, okay, maybe we're taking a closer look at that, trying to bring that spending down so that we're not actually cutting services, but still reducing spending. She also says we're investing in housing because people need a roof over their heads. But again, another thing to note is that necessarily putting money towards something doesn't mean that that money will actually equal positive outcomes, something we've talked about on the channel as well, but sort of judgment withheld at this point. We're just going over what's in the budget. She also says we're strengthening the immigration system to help support our booming businesses, and we're investing more in childcare so that more Canadians can go to work instead of having to choose between family and work, sort of talking more about childcare that we already touched on. She points out the whopping just under $200 billion that have been pledged to the Canadian healthcare system. This will happen via provincial transfers because, of course, healthcare is a provincial jurisdiction issue. So $200 billion, or 198 if we want to get too specific, that will be transferred to provinces to help cut down wait times and help the opioid crisis. Interesting that she brought up the opioid crisis because there have been several links between McKinsey, one of the consulting firms that the government has most hired over over the past 8 years, and also the same firm that has been accused of perpetuating that opioid crisis by consulting some of these pharma companies. Now, she continues on saying that their investments have helped more than 250 or 240,000 children who have received the dental benefit. This was something that was announced in last year's budget, approximately $600 per kid to help cover dental costs. And she announces a new landmark dental care plan that will be out by the end of 2023, which will eventually, so we're going to get into the details on what eventually means, cover up to 9 million uninsured Canadians. So that means that if you're covered by work or you're covered by some other kind of plan, it's likely that this federal dental plan won't help you. But she says that, okay, for people who don't have any kind of insurance, by the end of 2023, this program will begin expanding so that people don't have to choose between paying the bills and paying to get their teeth fixed. Okay, moving on. This is a big chunk of the budget speech, talking about the green transition and clean tech and how much the U.S. is prioritizing this, along with friend-shoring to avoid unfriendly partners, saying, okay, we don't really want to like import and export between Russia and China as much anymore. We want to bring it back to our, onshore it, either to nationalize it, bring it within the country, or to friend-shore with our sort of closest allies. She says that this is a really big opportunity because that's something the U.S. is looking to do, and Canada could be one of the providers for some of the things that they're trying to reshore or friend-shore. She says it's the opportunity of a lifetime. And she says that just-in-time supply chains are a vulnerability, and that's another reason that the U.S. might want to partner with Canada more to produce goods that our allies need. And she says we got to seize this moment. So sort of trying to rouse up support for all of the investments that are likely to come to take advantage of this program. She says that we're building a clean electric grid that will be accessible to all Canadians, providing citizens and companies alike with clean, affordable power, saying that we're going to become a supplier of clean energy, critical minerals to the rest of the world while building the capacity to develop, process, manufacture, and sell the products our allies need. And she says, hey, we're actually helping our Canadians to build these skills. So likely inside of this budget, there's something about the ways that people can apply for funding to go get these critical skills that are going to be important for the types of jobs that they've decided to support here. They say that our plan means good jobs, good careers for everyone, everywhere. She talks about small businesses and entrepreneurs, but she doesn't mention explicitly what might be available for them. And then she goes on and just sort of lists out every single type of profession, every single type of person that she says she's talked to. And she says all these people all around Canada value the exact same things: a good paying career, the ability to live with dignity and freedom, being judged on their character, and the belief that hard work will pay off for their families, and that it's important for them to have the conviction that every day in Canada is an opportunity. So that was sort of her closing rah-rah, we are Canadians, we are strong, we are proud. So that is a highlight of everything that was said during the budget speech. Again, keep your eyes posted on the channel in the coming days as I get more specific into the individual benefits, the individual plans, the individual changes. If there's a tax increase anywhere, you're going to hear about it here on the channel, so subscribe and hit the notification bell and like this video so that you're shown this video when it gets posted. But for those of you who are just tuning into this video and aren't currently on the live stream, thanks so much for watching. I hope this video helped you out at least a little bit, and I'll see you next time.